Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the daily current affairs session dated 11th of May 2023. So today we are going to discuss the most important editorials and articles that were there in the Hindu newspaper. And also we will try to understand those important concepts that are important for the upcoming UPSC prelims and mains examination. So let us quickly look into those topics that we are going to take for discussion. Okay, so these are the articles that we are going to discuss in today's session. So the first topic says a ground view of the Indian Space Policy 2023. So in this article we will understand about various nuances of the Indian space policy which was recently released by the government. Okay, we are going to understand about many things related to the Indian space policy, and so this particular article is part of science and technology. So science and technology is important for the prelims exam, and also it is important for the mains exam under GS paper 3. So we are going to discuss about Indian space policy, okay, in this article. So this was there in the Hindu newspaper, page 8 of Delhi edition. Apart from this, we are going to talk about another topic. It says the fallout of Putin helping make NATO great again. Okay, so in this article we are going to understand about North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is in short known as NATO or NATO. Okay, so we are going to understand about this particular organization, and we are going to understand that why people are talking about that this organization is going to be great again, right? What was the mistake that was done by Mr. Putin? Okay, so we are going to learn about this thing in this article. And this topic is important under international relations. It is important for GS paper 2 of the mains exam, and also in the prelims exam, they might ask some of the things that were in news related to NATO. And in this article we are going to talk a lot about power sharing. And the third article, it says Pokhran 2, a movement for proud epiphany. Okay, so you might be knowing that India is a nuclear weapon state, right? How India became a nuclear weapon state, we are going to understand about this in this article, in which we are going to talk about the nuclear test that was conducted by India in multiple locations, including in Pokhran. Okay, so we are going to understand about this. This topic is important under science and technology because we are going to talk about nuclear technology, and also it is important under defense technology. Okay, defense, it is generally important for the GS paper 3 of the mains exam. And after learning this, we are going to talk about another topic that says snap judgment. So this topic is important under environment and ecology section, and it is important for the prelims exam and also for the mains exam. And in this article we will talk about Project Cheetah. We will learn about multiple things associated with Project Cheetah, and we are going to learn about Kuno National Park, okay, so which is located in Madhya Pradesh. So we will learn lot more thing in these articles. So let us quickly see the first article, which is a ground view of the Indian Space Policy 2023. So this is just a quick snapshot of the article that was there in the Hindu newspaper today. Okay, so this is just a quick snapshot of the article. So this was there in the editorial section of the Hindu today. Okay, so I have gone through this article and I am going to discuss in detail about multiple things that were discussed by the author in this article. So this topic is necessarily important under GS paper 3 of the mains exam, and also it is important for science and technology section for the UPSC prelims exam. Okay, so we are going to talk about this thing. Okay, so let us quickly start the discussion on a ground view of the Indian Space Policy 2023. Okay, so this is going to be the first article that we are going to discuss, which is Indian Space Policy 2023. Right? So this article has been written by a former ambassador of India, and that particular person has been involved into some kind of negotiation related to sharing of technologies, including defense technologies, and also in strategic dialogues with other countries, right? So the author is a very prominent figure, and he has written about this particular article, which is Indian Space Policy. So let us discuss what is Indian space policy, and is this policy the first policy that the government of India came up with? So the thing is, the answer is this is not the first policy that the government of India came up with. Before this, the government of India has come up with many other policies like from time to time. In 2001, government came up with a policy. 2007 again they came up with a policy. 2017 they came up with another policy. So like there were certain variations in those policies, and this particular policy has been released by the government of India in the month of April, right? In the month of April 2023 itself, okay, 2023. So if we talk about this particular policy, what this policy talks about in detail, we will learn about this policy, and we are also going to discuss about what is the viewpoint of the author. So if I talk about this particular policy, so this particular policy is written in a document which is having 11 pages, okay, and out of those 11 pages, 3 pages talks about the broad strategy, okay, 3 pages talk about broad strategy, which is like Indian space policy. And apart from this, this particular document actually talks about what will be the role of which organ of the government, okay. So this particular policy has outlined the rules and roles and responsibilities of various organs of the government. One of the organ is Department of Space, okay. One of the organ is Department of Space. So this policy has talked about what is going to be the role of Department of Space. Apart from this, the government has also highlighted what is going to be the role of Indian Space Research Organization, right? And the third body, which is in short known as InSpace, okay, it is known as InSpace. InSpace stands for Indian National, okay, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, okay, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization, okay, Promotion and Authorization Center, okay, Center, Promotion and Authorization Center. Apart from this, this particular policy also talks about another body which is known as NSIL, okay, New Space India Limited. And this New Space India Limited is a commercial wing of ISRO, and it has replaced an existing body which was known as Antrix, okay. Antrix is now a defunct body, and through this Indian space policy, the government has demarcated what are going to be the roles and responsibilities of these 4 divisions of the government, which is Department of Space, then Indian Space Research Organization, InSpace, which is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, and also it talks about the roles and responsibilities of New Space India Limited. So let us quickly discuss about what are the roles and responsibilities of these bodies, okay. We will discuss about the roles and responsibilities of these bodies one by one. If I talk about the first body, which is Department of Space, okay. So Department of Space will do 2 activities, like one of the activities is like policy formulation, okay. So it is going to formulate policies for space related activities in India. Apart from this, this will be a decision making body, okay, decision making body related to multiple aspects of space related activities, okay. The second body, which is known as Indian Space Research Organization. Every one of us knows the role of ISRO that it has played. This was one of the organizations that has done so far one of the biggest things in the space sector in India. But so far ISRO has been doing all the activities, most of the activities related to space. But now through this policy, through the Indian Space Policy 2023, the government of India has clearly mentioned that space, the ISRO will involve itself in research and development activities. Okay, so it is going to do research and development activities so that it can enhance the understanding of human beings about space related things. Okay, so it is going to involve itself only in research and development related activities. And if I talk about INSpace, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, okay, so this is going to be a regulatory body. Okay, it is going to be a regulatory body which is going to regulate the affairs of government and private entities. Okay, government entities means like public sector undertakings, PSUs, and non-government entities, which is like in this document they have mentioned the non-government entities as NGEs. NGEs includes the private sector. Okay, it includes the private sector. So it is going to be a regulatory body which is going to regulate the activities done by government agencies as well as private agencies with reference to the space sector. If I talk about similar bodies that does regulatory activities, for example, if I talk about securities market, there we have Securities and Exchange Board of India that plays similar role. Securities and Exchange Board of India, it is a regulatory body for the securities market. And if I talk about Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI. TRAI does the similar activity, similar role, which is regulatory role in telecom sector. Similarly, we have IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. Okay, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. So that is also a regulator for the insurance sector. Similarly, RBI acts as a regulator, okay, for the banking sector. So similarly, this INSpace is going to be a regulatory body that is going to regulate the affairs of private and government entities, and it is also going to authorize certain private entities or government entities to carry out certain activities. So it is going to authorize as well, and it is going to regulate. And apart from this, if I talk about New Space India Limited, which is in short known as NSIL. So NSIL, this body was created by the government in the year of 2019. INSpace was created in the year of 2020. But through this policy, which is Indian Space Policy, they are delineating the roles and responsibilities of different bodies. So this NSIL, New Space India Limited, this particular body is going to work with the private sector, with the government sector, and it is going to be a commercial wing. I mean it is going to transfer technologies to the private sector. So this is going to take up activities related to commerce, okay, or commercial activities, okay, related to space related things. For example, earlier if private entities had to interact with ISRO, so they used to do it directly or through Entrix, but now they are going to interact with NSIL, which is going to be a commercial wing of ISRO. Okay, so it is going to transfer ISRO's technologies to the, let's say, private sector and all, and at the same time the INSpace, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, it is going to authorize certain private entities to take up many activities, even private entities will be allowed to utilize the let's say facilities that are created by ISRO. Okay, so this policy, which is the Indian Space Policy, it clearly defines the roles and responsibilities of these four wings that are working in the space sector in India. And apart from this, if I talk about what is the nature of this particular document, which is document means this Indian Space Policy 2021. If I talk about the nature of this document, this particular document actually enables the private sector to do lot of activities in the space sector. We know that across the world there are many organizations. If I talk about USA has NASA as one of the, let's say, agency which is backed by the government, but they have enabled the private sector also. We know, all of us know that SpaceX, which is owned by a private individual, I mean Elon Musk. So it is doing very good in the space sector. Similarly, India also wants to harness the potential of the private sector in this, in the space related activities, because private sectors does have multiple capabilities, means like they are going to infuse capital into the space sector. They are going to onboard many let's say scientists and people from multiple sectors. So like if it is privatized, I mean if private sectors are also let's say encouraged, so they are going to play bigger role in the coming years. Okay, so this is about this particular document, which is Indian Space Policy. If I talk about the article I mean a ground view of the Indian Space Policy. In this article, the author says in the first space era during the 1990s, only the Indian Space Research Organization, only the ISRO, okay, ISRO played, okay, only the ISRO played most of the role related to space activities in India. And that time, whatever technologies were developed by ISRO, that was only available to the private sector, okay, and private sector acted as a vendor for this for the ISRO. I mean it was providing one or other kind of inputs to ISRO whenever ISRO required. But now the author says with the second space era means this is the time period where the private entities are utilizing the let's say services of space, okay, of satellites. And at this point of time, if I talk about the telephone, smart like we have smartphones, we have like dish TV in our houses, and directly the dish TV is receiving information from the satellites, and most of these satellites are owned by foreign companies or foreign nationals, and that's why India is spending a huge amount of money to get those services. But like if once this sector is privatized in the sense like once the private entities are encouraged, they will be able to develop those technologies, they will be able to send the satellites to the they will be able to send the satellites to to the space, and at the same time they will be giving services to foreign companies, to Indian companies, and so that's how we are going to promote the space sector in India. So this is what the viewpoint of the author, but author also highlights some of the gaps, okay. Author highlights some of the gaps in the Indian Space Policy, okay. Author highlights some of the gaps in this Indian Space Policy 2023, okay. What are the gaps? One of the thing is, let's say if we are creating any regulatory body, these regulatory bodies should be given power so that they can do their function in an autonomous manner. If I talk about Securities and Exchange Board of India, so for creation of that particular body, there was an act was established first, an act was created, which is SEBI Act. And if I talk about TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, for that also an act was created. So an act was there that clearly defined what is going to be the role, responsibility of this particular body, and it authorizes, gives power to the body. If I talk about INSpace, which is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, this INSpace, I mean in the Indian Space Policy, they have mentioned about roles and responsibilities, but however, so far they have not created any law, right? Any law or any act to give, let's say, sanctity to this particular body. Sanctity means authorization, right? Proper authority to this body. This is one of the gap that the author talks about. Other gap that the author talks about, that in the document like Indian Space Policy, in the document they have used the word of security only few times or once, right? It simply means this particular body is, this particular document is just enabling the non-government entities to flourish in the space sector. It does not talk about strategic security or defense related thing. So the author says that we can expect in future that the government of India may come up with a subsequent document that talks about the security related aspects in the space sector. So the author talks about that defense research, DSRO, Defense Space research organization. It was set up by the government, and for that there can be another policy document. Okay, this is another highlight that was talked about by the author in this article. Okay, so this article gives a holistic picture about the present status of policies related to space in India. And since India is a space-faring nation, and if I talk about role of ISRO in the overall global space economy, ISRO currently plays only 2% of the role that the global companies or organizations are playing in the space sector. So we do have a huge potential, and since we are encouraging the private sector to participate in the space related activities, so in future we may see an expansion from multiple dimensions in the space sector. Okay, so with this we will move to the next topic for the day. The next topic for the day is the fallout. Okay, so let's discuss about the next topic. So I have already discussed about these bodies in detail, which is like Department of Space, Indian Space Research Organization, INSpace, which is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, and New Space India Limited. So like in your free time, you can download this particular PDF or document from the description of the YouTube video, and I have also given some questions to you to practice. Okay, one of the question, you can practice writing these questions in your free time in your home. Okay, so that you are prepared for the mains exam also. Okay, so this is one of the question. It says, what are the key components of India's space policy, including its goals, priorities and strategies? Okay, so to write this answer, you need to read that article, you need to listen to this discussion, and also if you want, you can go through the Indian space policy in detail. You can go through the document in detail so that you can write an answer to this question, because in this year's mains exam also, UPSC mains 2023, they may ask a question related to space economy, or they may ask a question related to multiple dimensions of Indian space policy. Then I have another question for you. You can practice this question also in your free time. It says, how does Indian space policy fit into the broader global context of space exploration and development? What are its implications for the future of space activities? Okay, you need to answer these questions in about 150 words. Okay, you need to answer these questions. So with this, we will move to the next topic for the day. This topic talks about the fallout of Putin. Okay, the fallout of Putin helping to make NATO great again. Okay, fallout of Putin helping to make NATO great again. So we are going to talk about this particular article. So this is article number 2. This is the article. This says the fallout of Putin helping make NATO great again. So this particular article, is a criticism to the policies adopted by Mr. Vladimir Putin. So who is Mr. Vladimir Putin? Putin is the president of Russia. Okay, he is the president of Russia. So Russia is one of the largest countries. It is the largest country in the world geographically, and it is it is a rival country to United States of America. Okay, so during the Cold War era, okay, there was bipolar division of the world. In one side there were USA and its allies, on the other side there was Russia and its allies. Bipolar world. Power was divided between these two countries, but slowly and gradually it has become a multipolar world. Okay, and if I talk about power game in in Russia or around it, okay, so you might be knowing that Russia has invaded, okay, Russia has launched an invasion on Ukraine, okay, Russia has launched an invasion on Ukraine, and it's been more than a year that that invasion is still going on. I mean, the tussle between Russia and Ukraine is going on. Since Russia is a bigger country, I mean, it's a bigger country, it has lot of weapons, it has lot of power, right? So it is able to, let's say, outpower Ukraine. But since Russia has done this particular activity, what it has done, it has raised alarm in small nations, okay, among small nations, among those small nations that are in the vicinity, that are in the bordering areas of Russia. Means those small nations that earlier had maintained neutrality. I mean, they did not side with any power, like they did not side with United States of America or with Russia. I mean, they stayed neutral. For example, if I talk about Nordic countries, okay, if I talk about Nordic countries, okay, if I talk about Nordic countries, okay, so one of these Nordic countries is these are Nordic countries Norway, Denmark, right, Iceland, okay, Sweden, and these countries are Nordic countries. So Nordic countries earlier maintained neutrality, they did not join any power. But recently, since Russia has started its invasion on Ukraine, so these countries started feeling insecure. And one of the country, which is Finland, I mean, Finland has joined NATO, okay, Finland has joined North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So if I talk about what is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, okay, if I talk about what is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So this North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a security organization. It's a kind of organization for securing their security interest, okay. So as of now, there are 31 member countries, okay, 31 member countries as part of NATO, and this 31 member countries also include Finland. Finland was a country that has joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization very recently, and this country, acceptance of this country into NATO was the fastest in the near during this particular time period. And apart from this, there is another country, which is Sweden. Sweden is also about to join. The existing member countries of NATO, they have to, let's say, sign the document, because decisions are taken on a consensus basis, and they have to ratify the accession of Sweden into NATO. Once ratification by all the existing members happen, right, so Sweden will also become a part of North Atlantic Treaty Organization. As of now, it has not become a part, it is in the process of becoming a part, but Finland has also already become a part of North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So if I talk about NATO, which is one of the security organization, which is, let's say, siding the viewpoint of United States of America, there are many countries in NATO that are from European Union, okay, but all European Union countries are not part of NATO, because among them also there are some kind of difference in opinion, okay. So that's why all the European Union countries have not joined NATO, but many European Union countries are part of NATO, okay. This is one thing. And if I talk about Russia, Russia is a rival power to NATO, okay. Russia is a rival power to NATO, all right. So Russia wants NATO not to expand, Russia wants NATO to stay small, but NATO wants to expand, okay, so that it can counter Russia, okay. This is the game that is happening over there. Recently Russia, I mean last year, Russia has waged a war against Ukraine, okay. So with raging a war, Russia wanted to, let's say, sideline NATO or shrink NATO. But since Russia has done this particular thing, the power game has shifted. Those countries that were feeling insecure about Russia, means like Russia can wage a war against them also anytime. So those countries have shown their interest to join NATO, okay. So actually what it has done, it has expanded the base of NATO, and now the Finland also has border with Russia. Now, like, you know, many NATO countries are bordering with Russia. So it is going to create some kind of anxiety factor for Russia as well, okay. So this is the thing that is happening over there, okay. So now the author in this article talks about two important things. One of the important thing is Arctic Council, okay. There is an Arctic Council. If I talk about Arctic Council, all the Nordic countries are part of Arctic Council. There is like United States, Canada, France, Russia, they are part of it. As of now, presently, Russia is the president of the Arctic Council, and India is also, okay, India is also an observer state, okay, it is an observer state to Arctic Council. India is an observer state to Arctic Council, okay. So this is the thing. Now if I talk about the present dynamics that is happening, the Arctic Council countries are also, I mean, like, you know, not staying neutral, because like they are also under some kind of you know, dynamics has changed in the region, because Russia has waged a war against Ukraine, okay. So in this article they talk about, the author has talked about Arctic Council as well, okay. Now I have highlighted those countries that are part of Nordic countries, okay. Why we call them Nordic countries? Because these countries share border with Norwegian Sea, okay. They have I mean, like, you know, coastline with Norwegian Sea. For example, Norway, Sweden, Finland, so they are considered to be Nordic countries. And apart from this, like, you know, there are few countries, I mean, like, I will talk about that thing also, Baltic countries. So Baltic countries share border with Baltic Sea. They are Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, okay. So these countries earlier, I mean, like, these countries earlier, let's say, like, you know, they were maintaining some kind of suspicion factor against Russia, but this factor has increased among them, okay. So this diagram showcases about the Arctic Ocean, okay. It showcases Arctic Ocean and also the Arctic region, I mean, like Arctic Circle, okay. So in your free time you can check these diagrams, okay. Just quickly I'm going to share these borders also with you. So see, like, this is Baltic Sea, okay, this is Baltic Sea, and these countries that are bordering, that has coastline with Baltic Sea, they are Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, okay. So they are known as Baltic countries, okay, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. So this is just to showcase where these countries are, and this particular diagram showcases the Arctic region, okay, Arctic region. It is near the North Pole, and like there are many countries that are part of the Arctic, like, you know, there is an Arctic Council. These many countries are part of Arctic Council. Even India is an observer state in the Arctic Council. So this is Arctic Circle, okay. So with this, like, we will go to the next topic, and before that, like, I have a question for you. So in your free time, what you can do, you can you know, try to write answer to this particular question. This will be important for your means preparation, okay. So this question, it says, how does India's engagement in the Arctic region affect its relationship with other Arctic and non-Arctic states? What are the potential implications for regional and global security, right? After reading this particular article, try to answer this question, because answering these questions require you to apply your brain, to practice, you know, writing some of the answers, okay. So just practice writing these answers. You will feel that, like, you know, there is an improvement in your learning curve, okay, with this. So with this, like, we came to another topic for discussion today. It says Pokhran-II, a movement of profound epiphany, okay. Pokhran. So like this article refers to the Pokhran nuclear test. So India has conducted Pokhran nuclear test on May 11 and 13, 1998. So today it has been 25 years, okay, 25 years ago we have conducted nuclear test in Pokhran range, okay. Where is Pokhran range located? It is located in the state of Rajasthan in India. So I am going to showcase where is Rajasthan located, okay. So on 11th and 13th of May 1998, 25 years ago, today is 11th May 2023, it's been 25 years, means quarter of a century, okay, century 100 years, quarter of a century 25 years. So 25 years ago, we have conducted the Pokhran nuclear test, and after conducting the Pokhran nuclear test, India has announced that now India is a nuclear weapon state. Okay, India has announced that it is now a nuclear weapon state. So if we talk about that India became a nuclear weapon state, what do we mean by this? It simply showcases India's capacity to deter any kind of foreign pressure. Like there are many nuclear weapon capable states across the world, and they can threaten India that like they can launch a nuclear weapon against us. So with developing the nuclear capability, by becoming a nuclear weapon state, now India has the deterrent capacity. We will be able to retaliate if in case any other nation attacks on us, okay. And since we are a nuclear capable state, so nobody will dare to threaten India with nuclear weapons, okay. So with this viewpoint, like India has done the nuclear test in 1998 and then claimed that like we are a nuclear weapon state, okay. So after that day, like India's standing in the world has shifted. Why it has shifted? Because now the entire world knows that we are a nuclear capable state. But that time when we were about to conduct these tests, we were like having a kind of like multiple doubts whether it is right to do or not, whether we should test nuclear weapons or not. Because there are many countries in the world, okay, if I talk about, right, there are many countries in the world that want that like India should not become a nuclear weapon state. And not only India, the existing nuclear capable state, means like nuclear weapon states, right, nuclear states, they do not want to share their nuclear know-how or nuclear capacity with those states that do not have it, okay. So that's why that point of time when India was not a nuclear state, so we were thinking of doing the test, and doing test, I mean like it was not done officially in an open space by announcing everyone. We have done the test first, and after we succeeded, we have then announced that like we have done so and so, and now we are a nuclear capable state, nuclear weapon state, okay. So like what has happened, like in this article the author has talked about multiple things that like so since we have done the nuclear test, so what we have done, like it had multiple consequences as well. The United States of America, okay, so I will just quickly write down about it. Okay, so we are in the third topic, okay, so topic number 3, which is this topic reads, I do have a newspaper with me, today's Pokhran-II, a moment of profound epiphany, okay. Pokhran-II, a moment of profound epiphany. So since we have done the testing, so it had multiple implications, okay, multiple implications for India. What are the implications? We have done the test on 11th and 13th of May, and on 13th of May itself the United States of America, it has imposed sanctions against India, okay, imposed sanctions against India. And that sanction lasted against India for a couple of years, but in 2005, in the 2005, we have signed a civil nuclear deal, okay, civil nuclear agreement or civil nuclear deal with United States of America. And here the United States of America came to the forefront by defending India. It said like India is a reasonable state, it will be able to handle the nuclear weapons, because like if I talk about nuclear weapons, so keeping nuclear weapon is easy, but maintaining the neutrality, maintaining a kind of reasonableness in using this particular thing requires firm determination. It requires a country to be let's say like it requires a country to be very thoughtful country. I mean like so that like nuclear weapon cannot should not be used recklessly, okay. So that's why like India at that point of time, people thought, different countries thought that although it has developed capacity to use nuclear weapons, but the thing is whether like it will act as a responsible nation, right. So that was a question mark on India, but like so far 25 years have gone and India has showcased to the world that it is a responsible nation. It has not used the nuclear weapon in the first instance, and like we do have a nuclear policy also in India. That policy is known as no first use policy, okay, no first use policy. It means like we will not use nuclear weapon against any state in the first instance. If we are attacked by a nuclear weapon, only then we are going to retaliate with a nuclear weapon against that state, and we will not use nuclear weapon against any state which is not a nuclear weapon state. I mean like if there is a state small enough, they do not have nuclear capability or capacity, we will not use our nuclear weapons against that particular state, okay. So this is the thing. So this was one of the implications for India. I mean like we were imposed sanctions, people were doubting our capacity to be a responsible nation with a nuclear weapon, okay. So we have showcased that not only India, in South Asia, I mean like we have maintained this particular stature, okay. That was another thing. So if we talk about having a nuclear weapon, so it required 4 things. I mean like it required certain strategies. That strategy is known as C4I, command, control, communication, computer and intelligence, okay. So in this article the author has talked about that since we have nuclear weapon, we also have a strategy which is like C4I. So this is command, control, communication, command, control, communication, computer and intelligence. It simply means like we do have multiple strategies, okay, in India to maintain a kind of stability with reference to usage of nuclear weapons. And at this point of time in India, we have a nuclear command authority also, okay, NCA. However, in this article, the author did not talk about the nuclear command authority, but we do have a nuclear command authority, and this particular nuclear command authority has a structure in place where like decision making is to be taken by certain high level officials, and those decisions have to be executed by, let's say, like other bodies. It has a policy formulation body, it has a executive body, okay. So like we have a nuclear command authority as well. In this article the author has not talked about it, but this is there, okay. So India, it's been 25 years, and that time when we have conducted the Pokhran test, so that was a time where like we have created a history, right, in the world by doing that particular thing. And no other event has created any parallel effect than this particular thing, which is Pokhran. And also like India has helped in 1971, India has helped the Bangladesh, right, in its liberation war against Pakistan, okay. So that was also a proud moment for us, because we have sent Shanti Bahini over there, like who have helped the Bangladeshi people to safeguard their, let's say, like their stand against the then Pakistan. Okay, so that was one proud moment, and after then this was one of the proudest moment in Indian history. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, like, we came to another topic. We are going to discuss the last topic for the day. You can read this article in your free time. Now we came to the last topic we are going to discuss. But okay, so I have discussed all these factors. So let me just quickly showcase where is Pokhran located. Okay, so this is the state of Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, like, you know, near Jaisalmer district. So this particular location is Pokhran. There we have conducted the test in 1998. Okay, in this article they have also, author has also talked about certain political connotation. I mean, like, which prime ministers have authorized it. In 1971 we have done a nuclear test, 1971 I guess, or 74. That time it was I mean, like, you know, authorized by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and also, like, you know, like, there were another instance, it was done by Congress government. I mean, like, you know, so that political aspect I did not include during the discussion. You can read about it in your free time. So, like, you know, this particular nuclear weapon test, I mean, like, you know, Pokhran, it has dispelled 3 beliefs. The decision to conduct the nuclear test, I mean, like, you know, we have conducted the nuclear test, and, like, you know, many countries, like even India was thinking like we will be under sanction, we will not be able to come out of sanction, but India has managed that thing. Myth that India would be isolated. Okay, so that myth has also been dispelled, and India and South Asia could not be trusted to manage the nuclear weapon. So this was again a myth, but like we have managed the nuclear weapon, and like we have gained the trust of the world, okay, in this aspect also, right? So with this, we'll see, like, if I have included a question in this topic also. No. So let us come to the last topic for the day. This topic talks about snap judgment. Okay, what do we mean by snap judgment? So this topic is related to Project Cheetah. Okay, so this is related to Project Cheetah. So we are going to talk about Project Cheetah in this article. So to the right side you can see, like, you know, there is an article given over here. So this is the article that was okay. Okay, so this is the article that was there in newspaper today. Okay, so like this is very small in font. So like you can read this article after downloading the downloading the document. So I'm going to discuss about this article that says snap judgment. It was there in editorial section itself. So this editorial talks about the Project Cheetah in India. So, and also it talks about that, like, you know, we should not be making judgment if a new cheetah is born or if an existing cheetah dies, because like these are natural processes. There can be many things associated with this, but like, you know, let us discuss about Project Cheetah. Okay, so what is Project Cheetah? So basically, like, if I talk about cheetahs have gone extinct from India. Cheetahs no longer lived in the Indian subcontinent, and we wanted to reintroduce cheetah in the Indian subcontinent. We wanted to reintroduce cheetah in India, okay? And for that thing, like the government of India and like various departments and ministries have been struggling to, let's say, like in multiple fronts. One of the front that they were struggling was related to, let's say, like, you know, related to having a policy of cheetah reintroduction. Apart from this, like, you know, there were many oppositions also within India. So they had to, let's say, like, you know, go to the different courts also to put forward their stand, like why they want to reintroduce cheetah, because like it is going to have multiple benefits for the ecological balance, because like predators, cheetahs are predators, okay? So like, you know, carnivores or predators, so they are also needed to maintain ecological balance. So that's the thing. But like, you know, Indian government has partnered with 2 countries, okay, 2 countries. One of the country is Namibia, okay. So we have partnered with 2 countries, like, you know, like Namibia, and there is another country, I mean, like, you know, African country. From there, we are importing cheetah. Okay, so earlier we imported 8 cheetahs, now we have imported 12 cheetahs. I mean, like from there, like, you know, we brought 8 cheetahs and then 12 cheetahs, and all those 20 cheetahs were introduced in one national park which is known as Kuno National Park. Where is this Kuno National Park located? The Kuno National Park is located in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so if this diagram is visible, so I'll be just like, you know, making it bigger. So this is Kuno National Park in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so there we have introduced cheetah. Okay, and now we have, let's say, allocated funds for management of these cheetahs. Not all those cheetahs are left in the wild. I mean, like, you know, the 12 that we have recently received, out of those 12, only 4 have been released in the wild, and also like we have sent multiple teams to look at them, what they are doing. Okay, so this particular article, in this article the author has highlighted that, like, you know, 2 cheetahs are reported to have died. Okay, so author says, like, if one cheetah dies or one cheetah, you know, gets born, so it should not be labeled as success or failure of this particular project, because there are multiple things associated with this. One of the important thing is natural aging factor. So, like, you know, every living organism after a certain age they are going to die. Okay, aging factor is there, and if we are, let's say, like, you know, rehabilitating cheetah, earlier they were staying in, let's say, in Namibia or in African country, now we have brought it to India. Okay, so there is a habitation change. Earlier they were staying somewhere else, now they are staying somewhere else. Now they have to adapt to the new situation. Whether they will be able to adapt or not, it's a question again. Okay, now, so that's why we need to watch and we need to keep a watchful eye to make this particular project a success. And at the same time, once cheetahs are released in the wild, first of all they are going to roam around the wild everywhere. They can go anywhere and everywhere once they are released. Okay, and they are going to establish their range. I mean, like, you know, after, let's say, roaming around, they are going to establish where they want to stay, live, and, like, you know, to how much area they want to go to get their prey. And if we release multiple cheetahs at one time, okay, so these cheetahs are going to get spread in multiple areas. It depends on the density of the prey. Let's say, like, you know, this is the let's say, okay, so let's say this is the entire Kuno National Park. If we are releasing 20 cheetahs, maybe, let's say, in this particular area there is huge density, okay, density of prey. But if I talk about this big area, let's say there is less density of prey. So now we may find lesser number of cheetah in this particular area, we may find more number of cheetah in this particular area. They will have tussle between them also, right, for survival or for preying over the same prey. I mean, like, you know, their prey. So there are multiple factors associated with this. So this article is just a kind of commentary in the sense that, like, you know, just dying or, let's say, like, you know, birth of a cheetah should not be labeled as success or failure of a program. And recently, 3 days before, there was an article in Press Information Bureau, and in that article they have mentioned about an inspection that was conducted by, like, you know, many people from around the world. I mean, renowned scientists, renowned ecologists. They have visited the Kuno National Park. They have done a surveying of those cheetahs to see, like, you know, how well they are able to, let's say, adapt to the new environment in Kuno National Park. Okay, so this is the thing. And so, like, you know, we have introduced, out of those 12 female cheetahs, 5 were females and 7 were males. Okay, so recently it was reported that, like, you know, 1 female cheetah died because 2 male cheetahs were competing for I mean, like, you know, intimacy with the same female cheetah. So, like, you know, that's why it was in news. So in your free time you can read about this article. So that's all from my side for the day. And, like, you know, we have certain batches that we are going to launch. One is GS Foundation batch, which is starting from 12th of June. you can join this batch. And also like we have a mains test series that's starting from 18th of June. GS mains test series, public admin test series, ethics test series, multiple dates are mentioned over here. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for watching this lecture. You can write answers to the questions that were discussed during the session, and also like you can download the PDF to learn more about it. That's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for watching this lecture. That's all from my side. Thank you.